All right, buckle up because today we're diving into a topic that's usually whispered about alcohol and its impact on male fertility.
It's more connected than people think, that's for sure.
Exactly. We're going beyond the drink water, it's good for you basics here. You sent in this research paper wanting the real deal on how alcohol affects things on like a cellular level, particularly when it comes to having kids.
It goes way deeper than you might expect.
Okay, so first things first, we all know alcohol gets you buzzed, but where does it even whoa once you've had a couple of beers? This paper breaks it down like it's an episode of Cops, but for ethanol.
Okay, so picture this. 20% absorption straight through your stomach walls. The rest takes the scenic route through your small intestine. Point is, it hits the bloodstream fast.
So no leisurely digestion happening here.
Nope, it's in the express lane. Now the liver, our trusty detox center, handles about 90%, but that other 10%. That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, the suspense is killing me. What about that rogue 10%?
Well, it's got to escape somehow, right? Breath, sweat, urine, even breast milk, which is a thought most new parents probably don't want to entertain.
Yeah, talk about putting a damper on things. But back to the liver's 90% workload, it's not just filtering out impurities like some kind of organic Brita filter, is it?
Not even close. The paper gets into how alcohol is actually broken down in T2O stages, and it's not pretty. First, the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase, or ADH, converts it into acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde, that doesn't exactly sound like a health drink.
Not unless you're into cell damage. See, acetaldehyde is this toxic byproduct that's super reactive. And to make matters worse, this process depletes your body's NAD plus stores. It's like the energy currency of your cells, so alcohol is literally draining your batteries while creating this harmful substance.
Double whammy. But wait, there's more. The breakdown process has a part two, doesn't it?
Yeah, acetaldehyde gets further broken down into acetate by another enzyme. Acetate is LES toxic, thankfully, and your body can actually use it for energy eventually. But the whole process is rough on your system. Think of it like this. You're running a marathon, but every mile someone throws a bucket of ice water on you. A&D steals your energy gels. You might finish, but you're going to feel it.
Okay, so we've got these alcohol metabolites, the leftovers from the breakdown party, hanging out in the body. This paper doesn't beat around the bush. It goes straight for the impact on fertility. What are these metabolites doing that messes with a man's ability to make a baby?
They're basically tiny little troublemakers, wreaking havoc on multiple levels. This paper highlights three major ways they mess with male fertility: inflammation, oxidative stress, and DNA damage.
Okay, break it down for us. Inflammation, I usually think of that as a post-workout soreness thing, not necessarily a fertility issue.
It's much bigger than that. Imagine your body's alarm system stuck on high alert. Alcohol throws everything out of whack, messing with your immune response and cytokine production. Those are the messengers that direct your immune system's traffic. And this isn't just happening in the liver, it's impacting your entire body, including, believe it or not, your brain.
So that brain fog after a night out is real inflammation happening. My brain is literally on fire.
Well, not literally on fire, but you get the idea. It's a good illustration of how widespread the effects of inflammation can be.
Okay, point taken. What about oxidative stress? That sounds intense, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Think of it like this. Remember that image of the marathon runner? Now imagine each bucket of ice water is also laced with rust particles. Over time, those particles start to cause damage. That's kind of what oxidative stress is like. It's about those unstable molecules called reactive oxygen species, or ROS, causing wear and tear on your cells and DNA. Your body tries to fight back with antioxidants, but alcohol weakens its defenses.
And even small amounts can tip the scales.
Absolutely. It's a cumulative effect. Even one beer can disrupt that delicate balance, and over time, that damage adds up. It's like slowly chipping away at your body's defenses.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. But let's get even more specific. How does all of this impact hormones and sperm, the key players in making a baby? This is where the paper gets really juicy.
It does. And it's not good news for those who like to indulge a little too often. Let's start with hormones. Specifically, the HPG axis, that's the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the command center for your reproductive system.
Catchy name, but in layman's terms, what does that even mean?
Imagine it like a relay race. The hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the testes are the runners, passing hormones like testosterone between them. Alcohol, Alcohol is the guy who shows up with a cooler full of beer, distracting the runners and messing up the whole race.
So it's basically sabotage at a cellular level.
Pretty much. Now, you might be wondering about testosterone itself. Does alcohol make it go up or down? The research is a bit back and forth on that one.
Yeah, I've heard conflicting things too.
The key takeaway from this paper is that alcohol makes your body less efficient at using testosterone, regardless of whether your levels are high or low.
So it's like having a Ferrari but only being able to drive it in first gear. All that power, but you're not going anywhere fast.
Perfect analogy. And then there's the direct impact on sperm quality, and this is where things get really interesting. The paper cites studies showing that heavy drinkers often have a lower sperm count, and I'm not just talking about a slight dip. We're talking significantly lower. And the sperms that are there, often misshaven and with potential DNA packaging problems, it's like the blueprints themselves are getting crumpled up.
So it's not just about quantity, but quality too, and those sound like some pretty serious issues.
They are. And here's the kicker. One study found that alcohol can actually cause sperm to prematurely release an enzyme that's essential for fertilizing the egg.
Wait, so they're basically jumping the gun before they even reach the finish line? That's not great. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot, or should I say other part?
Exactly. Not the best strategy for success, that's for sure.
All right, so we've covered the immediate impact of alcohol, the cellular sabotage, the sperm struggles, but this paper goes even further into something they call the legacy effect.
And this is where things get really fascinating. We're talking about the potential impact on kids a man hasn't even fathered yet.
Okay, hold up. We're talking even before conception.
Got it. This isn't just about whether you can have kids after a night at the bar. It's about the health of those kids, potentially years down the line.
All right, now I'm really interested. Lay it on me. What are the theories here?
So the paper dives into three main possibilities. The first one revolves around this idea that alcohol can actually alter the chemical makeup of the sperm itself. Think of it like this. You're setting a blueprint to get a house built, but some of the instructions got smudged with beer. The house might still get built, but maybe the windows are wonky or the foundation's a bit off.
So it's like passing down a slightly faulty blueprint to the next generation.
Exactly. Now, the second theory explores the idea that maybe alcohol damages some sperm, but the healthy ones are still in the running, right? Survival of the fittest, sperm addition. Well, this theory proposes that maybe those natural selection mechanisms are getting thrown off, so some of the damaged sperm are, slipping through the cracks, so to speak.
So it's like the bouncer at the egg's door is getting fooled, letting in some less than ideal candidates. Okay, what's the third theory? This is like a cellular thriller unfolding.
This one is definitely the most concerning, and it's where a lot of current research is pointing genetic mutations. We're talking about alcohol potentially causing changes to a man's DNA that could then be passed down to his children.
Whoa. So even if a guy's sperm count seems fine, his kids might still be facing health challenges because of his drinking, even if he's like cleaned up his act by the time they're conceived.
That's the implication. And we're not just talking about obvious birth defects here. We're talking increased risks of behavioral issues, learning disabilities, even certain types of cancer. Is a sobering thought, to say the least.
No kidding. This research is heavy stuff. It really makes you think twice, huh?
It does. It really highlights how much we still don't know about the long-term impacts of alcohol.
Speaking of unknowns, before we get too freaked out, this paper does mention some limitations to these studies, right?
Right. Like with a lot of health research, it's tough to isolate the impact of just alcohol. People who drink might also have other lifestyle factors going on, diet, exercise, stress, that could also play a role in these outcomes. And most of these studies rely on people accurately self-reporting their alcohol intake, which, let's be honest, isn't always the most reliable.
Yeah, 1 or 2 drinks can quickly turn into a hazy memory.
Exactly. But this paper does point to some exciting new research avenues. For example, the field of omics, genomics, proteomics, all those omics, is showing promise for developing more precise markers of alcohol-related damage.
So instead of just this general drinking is bad message, we're moving towards a more personalized understanding of how alcohol affects each of us differently. This is all pretty eye-opening. We've gone from that first sip to some pretty profound implications for future generations. It really makes you wonder about the hidden impacts of things we might consider like normal or everyday choices.
It really does.
We're going to take a quick break to process all this information, but stick around because we'll be right back to wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts and key takeaways from this fascinating, if a little bit daunting, research paper.
All right, we're back. And I don't know about you, but my head is buzzing. And not from the kind of buzz we've been discussing. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
It's definitely one of those topics that makes you think twice about that next glass, right?
Absolutely. So much for a glass of red wine is good for you. Though, to be fair to those grapes, this research was specifically about alcohol, not wine in general. But still, it raises some big questions. What are some of the key takeaways for our listener who sent in this paper? What do they really need to know about alcohol and its impact on male fertility? I think the biggest one is that this isn't just a, female issue.
Hmm.
For so long, the conversation around fertility has, focused on women. And while that's obviously important, this research highlights the significant role men play and how their choices have a direct impact too.
Right. And it's not just about being able to conceive. We're talking about the potential for long-term health consequences for future generations. And that's something most people probably don't consider when they're, at a bar on a Friday night.
Exactly. It's about expanding our understanding of responsibility.
Hmm.
It's not just about the here and now, it's about the legacy we're passing down.
Yeah, it's like your kid might inherit your love of classic rock, but they might also inherit the consequences of your drinking habits. Talk about a sobering thought.
Exactly. And I think the science behind it is crucial to understand too. That whole process of alcohol breaking down into those toxic metabolites, throwing off the hormone balance, damaging DNA, it's not just some abstract concept,
Yeah.
it's happening on a cellular level
Mm.
and has real-world consequences.
Right. We talked about those omics fields earlier, and it seems like the research is moving toward a more personalized approach, understanding how our individual genetics and lifestyles interact with alcohol. So maybe it's not just about saying never drink, but about being more informed and mindful about our choices.
I think it's a great point. Knowledge is power, and the more we understand about how our bodies work and how different substances affect us, the better equipped we are to make informed decisions.
Absolutely. And maybe this research can spark a broader conversation about the hidden impacts of, other lifestyle choices. If alcohol can have such a profound effect on something as fundamental as fertility, what else are we overlooking? It's a bit mind-blowing, really.
It really is, and it highlights the importance of continued research in this area. The more we understand, the better we can support people in making healthy choices for themselves and their families.
Well said. So there you have it, a deep dive into the surprising, complex, and frankly, sometimes unnerving world of alcohol and male fertility. We covered a lot of ground, from the cellular shenanigans of alcohol metabolism to the potential impact on future generations. Remember, this isn't about demonizing anyone's choices, but empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions about your own health and well-being.
And to keep those conversations going with your friends, your family, even your doctor. The more we talk about these issues, the less stigma there will be and the more progress we can make.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Until next time, keep asking those curious questions, keep exploring, and keep learning.